But you know, I want to make it clear because se me cortó. Like, in some of the stuff you were saying, like I want to make it clear, like Bordo's not like vouching for anything. We're talking about like knowledge and facts about cartel stuff or backstories. And I know Lupe is always like, oh, let me teach you, let me know, and I always be like, let me see your credentials, and let's just Chapo Mayo on. And maybe he's Chapo on the line, right? With maybe Lupe's Chapo,
Somebody
like
get
bro.
Chapo and Mayo on the line right now. Give them the
Yeah,
link. Let's get them
and
on the panel.
mira, no es por nada, man. I no me gusta ser así porque neta I'm not like that. But man, sometimes I'll be like, look, bro. One thing I do know is my life. I don't know anyone else's life. You get me? And my life was that since I was a desde morro, right? Like, and sometimes when people salen con pendejadas, bro, like it upsets me. Like. But then again, if that was the case, right? I paying attention to every comment, I'd be here forever. But I think it's la moda, no? And I just want
No,
to
but
make sure I would just say,
I
what?
mean, I just it's different. Like I said, in Mexico, when you grow up like that, you don't really that's not the most hatred. That's not the most like it's much you. It's harder to say that you rob people than actually that you rat it. You know what I mean? You're most hated if you're like Robert, eres un ratero, and that's like that's why we say like in American culture they glorify robbing way. I never understood that they made rap songs about robbing and doing all this stuff, and I'm not gonna say it doesn't happen in Mexico, but it's not well looked up. You're not gonna brag about robbing, you're not gonna be bragging that you did this and that. You actually hide that kind of shit. So I mean, to me that it's like I said, it's different of cultures way. It's just
But you
different.
know what it is? I then now my goal. Like there's two sides of it, right? When I speak about the culture, I'm gonna say because I'm gonna get real right here. Here's what bothers me and like about the culture, right? Because I'm just being the streets, right? Is that you have some dumb, the worst, más pendejo, make up these street codes in the street, ¿verdad?
Yeah.
Right? The old dude, the one that can't get it, robbing's cool. I'll take your stuff, and then next thing you know, they find that as an excuse because when it comes to that, right? Oh, rob anyone, and then they're robbing each other. What do you mean? You've been that's what you preach on. You get me? But like
Hmm.
in Mex, let's be honest, man. You show me un secuestrador out loud. They don't exist. Los secuestradores are calladitos, nomás los palillos were probably one of the most famous groups. Pero, pero like no one's gonna co-sign for you. ¿Me entiendes? Si andas de
Fuck no.
secuestrador.
Nope.
Like it has to be that
Wait, what was that
mentira.
word that you used? I didn't catch it.
Secuestrador.
What's that?
Kidnapper. It's kidnapper.
Oh,
And it's funny because we have a story where there's an individual, right? In my story that he was. This is what's weird to me. His name's Saul Rodriguez, right? He kidnapped my brother. He was an informant. He was working with the police, and he kidnapped my brother. Then kidnapped one of my workers, and he kidnapped over 46 people, right?
Damn.
Abuelitas, niños, mataron a seis, right? And it's weird because then I'll see all the gangsters who say stuff about them, be like, oh, now the gangster, you have a problem with the dude that's real gangster when you preach, like that's weird, you know,
Hmm.
that's what you're preaching. You get me? You're
Hmm.
preaching rob and all, money over everything. You're preaching, um, fuck the ops, and you're preaching, I'm the boss. Yeah, when you see it as an example, now you want to talk about it, which is weird.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think like I said, it's the difference in cultures, man. Like it's first off, it's a different board game where you're not a border baby, but like I said, you kind of grow up in both sides and know very well both sides. So you, like I said, that part where out here you don't really get to mess with police like that. I think that's what sets up more the snitching part and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Because it's not really like that. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just like those diferentes mundos, but at the end of the day, that different story. But I would tell you, like when going back to the like gang culture and all that, like I see some of the stuff going on online, and one thing I will say, like for those real dudes, you know how it's real easy for them if they're like real, like for them not to cross the line, but because they've been trained like that their whole life. ¿Me entiendes? Like
Hmm.
it's easy. Like they're not gonna do no disrespectful stuff. They're not gonna say nothing. They demand respect. Um, it's like walking eggshells. But that doesn't really change unless they change it, right? Like someone to be like, oh no, I'm gonna step out of line and do what I said because they're under strict rules, all the time. That's their culture.
Hmm.
And sometimes I feel like I see it like, I know, growing up in the culture, I feel like that was the main thing to me. Like I feel like if I wasn't that, like,
Aparte, bro, like you're not gonna compare the las ganancias way of gang banging to the millions of cartel money way. You know what I mean? Like a lot of these guys, like if like they don't got nothing outside way, so they don't mind spending the time in jail way. La neta, you know what I mean? They don't got nothing
mm-hmm,
going on like that outside, or even if they do, it's not as much as what cartel money. You know what I mean?
yeah. So
So
my brother, Batman, aka Batman, my brother, he's Batman of me, my brother. But he likes to say all these things like, you can't be both. You can't be a gangster and you can't be a hustler. It just they don't go hand in hand,
no way.
And that's the culture. But sabes que, you know what? What do you think from your knowledge? The term that cartel is used and thrown out so much lately. Everyone works for the cartel and everyone's part of the cartel. Me
I
río de
sold
eso,
a
¿entiendes?
nickel bag for a Mexican dude, man. I was plugged.
I mean, I mean that's kind of something that pushes me to explain this shit on podcast too, way because like I was telling Chai like there's a lot of freelancing out there. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you might move some shit for a guy that works for the cartel, but you're not really cartel unless you're doing everything with them. You know what I mean? And even them, they work with like other people too. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah. So the term is weird because antes no se escuchaba así, right? And sometimes well, my brother gets mad because I don't know how to explain this very well, but I try to say it. I said it somewhere that the cartel's not as big as people think. You know what I mean?
not it's
Todos
not
los
like that.
demás, toda la gente demás. You know what I'm saying? Los asociados, toda la
I
gente,
mean, and
pero
there's families that don't even want to be around que les digan del cartel because that word just being
yeah,
put on you, it's you know what I mean? It's una calentura too. So I
yeah.
think
Pero
I think
ahorita
if
es la
you're
moda.
yes, pero I mean that comes for more for to be honest, the way I see it is if if you're the fighting part of the cartel, the cuidando la plaza, the comandos negros and all that, you kind of put that propaganda out of like you're winning, so you kind of
Mm,
like you know what I mean?
El
You
Comando
kind of
Negro is one of my favorite corridos too.
I mean, so all that way. I mean, I think it's just like war marketing, basically. You know what I mean? Just letting people. I mean, I had this conversation with my friends that I had un teniente del ejército. I always
Yeah.
tell him like, hey, how come in the news there's like shootouts and there's like 18 sicarios dead and only one soldier like shot in the leg? And he's like, well, you don't want to lower the morale on the other troops. So even if you had like three soldiers shot or whatever, you're not gonna let everybody know because you want to keep the morale high. Like you don't want people to think like, oh, they actually got us. And it's the same thing as the corridos and all that. If you're the guys that are in charge of fighting and like pushing the line and all that, you're gonna want this noise and this wave created that you're winning. So just
Yeah,
if anybody's trying to join, you're gonna be like, oh, I think he's winning because his corridos are doper. You know what I mean? There's people that think like
el,
that way for stupid as
yeah,
it sounds.
el más rido. So let me ask you a question, Bordo, and maybe when I do your interview with you, we could talk a little bit more about this, go a little bit, elaborate on this. So I get a lot of heat from people, ¿verdad? Because también law enforcement has a big thing where everything's cartel, and I always tell them like, nah, that's not it. Pero
Well, it
what do
helps
you
them. It helps them get the resources. No, if they tell their bosses, yeah, we're fighting the cartel, I bet they give them more money.
Yeah, I think, but they have a good reason. But
Mhm.
what do you think when I try to separate? And maybe I say this because it depends on I'm not being politically correct, and maybe you could help me out because I do respect like your calm nature, bro. Like is when people get offended when people bring up La Barbie or bring up Pacino, and hear me out. I know them. I was around them, and I'm like, nah, they were not hustlers. You get me? Like to me, being in that, we're just on a different level. Like gente como ellos,
I know what you're
you
saying.
know,
I know what you're saying. Tú chambeabas y esos güeyes eran malandro, eran pistoleros.
pistoleros, güey. Y la
Yeah.
gente no entiende que la gente que los admira a ellos, with all due respect, mira, matones, pistoleros con huevos, 100%, ¿me entiendes?
Yeah, yeah,
Pero
yeah.
they want to put them in the same thing como un jefe, like the other type of jefes. I'm like, mira, lo que yo,
Yeah, like
the
like
last thing
a
I
like
heard,
a Chino Antras is not a Polo Ochoa, not near close.
exactly. What was his name? The one that the one that died from the Adriano Felix.
Oh, like you mean like David Barone and them?
Like David Baron, like without the respect, like just let's take it back. It's like David Baron being, a half of the, of the brothers. You get me? And I
Yeah,
try to
no.
explain like the difference, and people get offended, and then sometimes I get mad. I'm like, bro, like, and I say this in the wrong way, but just to kind of get my point across that, like, if without, porque gente no entiende que al fin del día es respeto a todos, right? Mi
Yeah,
respeto
but
a
there's still
todos.
kind of like a chain of command, no?
Sí, so they'll be mad. Either way, when I was around, esos güeyes eran como, ten güey, ve por las sodas.
Hey, English, 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 bro. What the is wrong with you?
Like not no disrespect, but like, damn,
Sorry, hold
it's
on. Let me
different.
translate. He said those guys were the guys that you told go get me a fucking coke. All right, there you go. Now he's gonna go in English from there, yeah.
Yeah, well, not well. You said it in a more derogatory way, but you know what I mean. I mean, they're not like very like low level, but they're the guys. I mean, up to this day, I know some dudes that you might hear in corridos and stuff, and whenever they have like gatherings together, they're the ones serving the food. Not because like
No,
somebody
no,
went out to be like, hey, wait, tú vas a ser el sirviente. Nah, it's just like you kind of
nah.
know where you stand on
Respeto,
the. Es
yeah, like,
respeto, exactly. You kind of
yeah.
know what you're doing. Like, oh, ahí están los jefes. Ah, órale, no, pues hay que acá. You know what I mean? You start doing your thing because you know your level. You know?
That's exactly what I mean. Like, that's what I'm trying to, like, man, bro, you put it to real simple. I don't know how to explain that. If I was around, I never knew, but they let me know because where I sat, you get me? And how what's the difference between me and everyone else? Does that make sense? Pero respeto, I never heard someone, I wait, was tú eres una pinche, like, them dudes never looked at me and hey, wait, you're soft. Like, nah. Like,
Nah, porque
you
tú
get
eres
what,
el de la
yeah, like,
feria. You're the money maker. You're on that side. You're on that table, which is what matters in the cartel.
and I try to explain to them because to me, I'm like, damn, if these young kids out there, if all these dudes are trying to inspire to be gangsters, so like I'll go on like these dudes that the gangster interviewers, right? Like even I haven't got there yet, but you see all these cholo podcasters, right?
Uh huh.
And I don't know them. I'm gonna assume that they're a real gangster, right? And they're always talking about the politics, about snitching, about the hood, and about this and that. So I want to go on there and I'm gonna challenge them to be like, okay, bro, up to where is the gangster? Because you're sitting around your homies politicking about, that gangster life. Now, is it okay for you to tell them to your face that you choose him over your mom and over your girl, over your kids? And I'm
That's
gonna
why I
tell you,
said.
like,
That's what I
if
said
I were to
earlier.
ask that
Wait, that's
question,
what I
yeah.
said earlier. Like, do you want to do like when you get these guys that get offered deals or something? It's like you basically saying like, do you want to keep it real with the gang or do you want to keep it real with your family? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but here I'm not even saying I'm not even using me as an excuse. I'm talking in the word of like in the world of gangsters. Before you snitch, before anything, okay? Just because they talking about it and they're all grown men, they all got kids, right? So my whole thing to me is like I want to like because I do prison talks too, and I'm always like look beside you, gangsters. You know what I'm saying? You tell
Hmm.
them that you're gonna choose him, right? Before you before you choose your family, right? Say it because that's what you guys are saying. And if one of you guys do that, do me a favor. The real gangsters, when you get back to handle your business, because you know he's full of shit. He's lying to you to your face. You get me? Because a real man will never choose that, and will keep it real. You get me? But they have this code where you have to say the politically correct thing. You get me? And it's a joke to me, bro. Like,
Yeah.
all right,
I mean that's kind of what I enjoy of my position where I get to be on these like cholo podcasts and I don't have to abide by those rules. You know, I like I always say I'm a paisa 100%. You know what I mean? I grew up in TJ and all this stuff, so like if you invite me, you already know what I'm going to talk about, and we're not going to agree. You know, I went in with a Homegirl Negras podcast, and I got a lot of shit like, oh, you don't talk about this on camera and all this shit. I was like, hey, wait, I talk about whatever fuck I want, way. I'm a paisa. I don't, you know what I mean? With all due respect, way, mi respetos para todos. You know, obviously you got your rules. You can't talk about it, but let me do my thing. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, they could go start a fucking channel. Go start your own fucking channel.
yeah.
Say
that's
what
what
you want to
I
say.
tell
Tell
that.
your
Yeah. Like,
stories.
like
Well,
you're not
yeah,
gonna
cause
tell me what part of my life I can't talk about, dog. You know?
you know what? That's a good example. But I would tell you, like, I have a list of like things like that, like basically tests and examples to be like, then stop selling these kids, bro. All these people that want to see you, and stop selling them that BS. Like, let's keep it real. How about that? You get me? You know,
Yeah,
like
and I mean,
let's keep it 100.
I've been around some of those people too. Like even Lupe knows what I'm talking about. I've been around some people in LA where they're talking about how like their money making ways are kind of dying down a little bit. You know what I mean? They're not as some people like they don't look at them as they used to. You know, some guys from Florence were telling me how a lot of guys they're like from the hood, but they move more in a paisa way because they just rather make money. They don't want to deal with the politics. You know what I mean? They
Yeah,
just want to make money. So
yeah,
they were telling me how this kind of like this little wave is going on where you see like some homies that is not that are not even tatted, you know, but
yeah.
they don't really
The,
deal with the politics. They're more into the money making.
Yeah, but you know, and then until what happens, and I speak about this in my class, like until they get to prison and the dude that hates, so you want to be making money, huh? You know what I mean? And then
Right.
that's when you have the problems. You get me? But I will tell you something, like for instance, this little comment. This is the difference between like people like that. He'll say that shit about my family, about me, ask me about, you know what? Why don't you talk about all your dead homies that got for nothing? And all the people you and shot up for nothing, for being a damn soldier. Why don't you talk about that? Or why don't we talk about the thousands of families that lost loved ones, even the rich ones? We could name them. ¿Sí o no, Bordo? We talk
Yeah,
about
I
all
mean,
the big people. Que los mataron rico. Oh, that's cool. But snitching and putting your family at risk, and that ain't cool, bro. Your family's at risk when you're in the game, but you wouldn't know about it. And Bordo, ¿sí o no? You
anyway,
in the
like I said,
cartel
like
life.
I mean, you see it with Vicente, where he's somewhere out there living his best life at a beach somewhere, you know, with his millions and all
Pero,
that
pero
stuff. So
Pero look, I'm here, bro. I'm alive. I'm
that's
talking
what
to
no no
you.
no
You
that's
know?
that's what I'm saying. You see it where it's like I like I said, that's the way I see it. Cause I like you stay real to your family, like your immediate family, your kids, your wife, or you stay real to the game way. You know?
Yeah,
When
but what I'm saying is because he makes a comment says snitching will get your family, and I'm like, bro,
okay.
you
Nah,
killed
not
for
really way.
nothing.
Not really way. To be
But
honest, it's not like that anymore way. You know what I mean?
but he's making remarks about my dad. So listen, I'm gonna tell you something. My dad probably was the biggest gangster. That's what he died that way. That's what he chose. He chose that life instead of his family. But the thing that gets me mad is like, here's this dude who killed someone, killed two people, went to prison, left his family. He didn't give a fuck. He asked his mom to send him money while he was in there. Le quitaba. And he talks about it like he's like that. Like, oh, you want it's called the criminal life, bro. You're gonna lose something. You're gonna lose your family either, in jail, or you're gonna lose your family because of the life. Because no one ever talks about your family being kidnapped and you having to pay ransom. Because I tell you, like I paid $15 million in ransom in my time hustling. So, you imagine that, you know?
Yeah, I think if those are other leagues way. Like if you've never been around those leagues, it's hard to get an understanding and make a good opinion about it. You know what I mean?
So like no excuse. I'm gonna tell you, like, look, man, the sacrifice I made for my family, and me and my brother made for my family, man, it came at a very high cost. You know what I'm saying? By for sure. But guess what? At least I had the balls to do it. You know what I'm saying? At least I wasn't scared of some dude. You know what I'm saying? Telling me, what I should do, what I shouldn't. I never been that dude. And
Hmm.
I'm gonna tell you, I'd rather had risked my life going against the biggest jugglers in the world than stay a victim and stay in prison to something I wasn't. And I stand for that. You get me? Before anything. Before any
Anyway,
of
at the
these
end of
dudes.
the day, way it's kind of weird that you choose jail over free time. You know, I'm not like I said. If I get the whole if you did the crime, do your time way, because there's some people that actually do like. There's some fools that don't get out for anything, and or they're not even arrested, and they're looking for to snitch way. You know, I've seen those dudes too. Like they're not even wanted, but they're in the offices begging to fucking be informants. You know, I think it's very different. The circumstances is different, different personalities and stuff. But at the end of the
Yeah,
day, way like it's survival way. It's survival, and the cartel. That's what it is. It's all about money and
yeah.
survival. And if that's the way out, you get to keep your money or whatever this and that way. We fuck it way. You know what I mean? That's the
Well,
game.
yeah, yeah, that's true. Because then it got into a way where it's like, damn, bro, like the money's not even good enough. You know what I'm saying? Like, what the
Mhm.
like, what like what happened? You get me? Like, we're good. We're doing good. What happened? But honestly, I'll tell you something. But the life is gonna eat at you no matter what. Any criminal life. And I'm gonna tell you, like, what I'm not sure what you think. You're from my respect with your knowledge. On both sides. But like, I'm gonna say it, then people get offended. But like, And I'm only saying right now because these guys like to make those little comments, right? But bro, like me and my brother, after Griselda Blanco, I don't even think she was that. They were like, bro, we were the biggest drug traffickers in the country.
I heard from many people that she wasn't that big.
Yeah, she wasn't, but I just say for the sakes. But like when I say that, bro, like I say it in the USA, all right, in the country. I don't at the time. I don't say it like thinking about it. Like I know who we were. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Now there's a lot of big dudes. The only thing making the difference there's a lot of dudes that were way bigger than me. You know that we could talk about all the people that were like doing it for a longer period of time, but when it came to being successful in the country, they needed 15 of me at a time. You get me? Like smaller dudes for them to be, and it's like I met some of these biggest, like some of the biggest drug traffickers that you hear about that used to tell me and my brother that they were jealous of us and our business. Imagine that. And it's weird because when they start talking to me about the rules, and I look, bro, I was brought up in the life since the age of 7. I didn't know nothing else but the life. That's it. And then they want to tell me about the life. You get me? Because they decided to join the gang and go, and gangbang innocent people. And listen to someone, that's been locked up since they were 15, 16 in prison, telling them what to do. Like that should be like, bro, at least one thing's for sure. I'm telling you that no money in the world, no damn street cred, or que se gana uno de decir, sí, me chingué 2 personas, pero like you hate your life, bro. We give up our life in prison. I'm gonna tell you, when I started doing my time, I was locked up and I never felt as free as I was when I was locked up, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, your family weighs on you, but I felt free to be like, man, who fucking cares? I don't gotta worry about this no more, Yeah, no, but it's just a different type of pressure,
Yeah, man. Like I say, like I met a bunch of like also like some big dudes, and at the end of the day, it's always different stories, a lot of gray areas, a lot of all that way. So especially when you find out like the rules and all that is bullshit, where like nobody really follows that shit, and you know what I mean. Everybody's just out for their own. At the end of the day, when the cartel and the gangs way, they both out there for their own way. You know what I mean? I mean, you got like El Money Sign Sway, where the good rapper that they killed him just because he wasn't trying to like do the rutina with them. You know, it's like it's different politics way, but at the end of the day, in the criminal life, you're out for yourself. I think you know this way.
It's get it by any means, right? Everyone's about themselves. All of a sudden, you expect, devils and fucking, to be to
hey,
do
wait,
the right thing.
it's crazy. It's crazy that people expect outlaws to follow rules. You know what I mean?
That's weird to me.
No mames, güey, pues si somos malandros, perro, what the fuck are you talking about, güey? What rules, dog? You know what I mean?
Yeah, like bro, you brought up to break every rule, and then you're like, follow the rules.
Somos malandros. That's what we will say, güey. Hey, güey, somos malandros, perro. What are you talking about? Like, you know what I mean? Like, obviously there's like moral rules. You don't fuck with people's family. Shit like that. It's just out of respect, and that's kind of like the culture we grow. You got those, but other than like, don't shit like that, bro. I'm probably sure you're familiar with this. I know like a whole bunch of group of friends way that they do business with each other, but they be stealing from each other too, way, and that doesn't stop them from making business with each other. Like, oh, este puto me robó 45 de estos, güey, fuck this one. And then next week he's like, hey, güey, ahí tengo otros 40 para pagártelos. You know what I mean? Like, it's está bien loco esa madre, güey.
I don't get that shit. I never get that part. Like, I even thought about it with you. I heard the story about you getting snatched up by them cops, and they had your own homies questioning you. And it's like, Papas, I might feel a way about you feeling that way about me after, we get it all cleared up. Like, what the fuck are we talking about here, Because I've been in situations where dudes were hustling, right? But these were also dudes that partied and got high too. And then they lose something being careless, and then they looking at everybody around them and shit. And it's like, Papa, you making your own mess over here, bro.
Yeah, way. Like I said, it's malandro, way. You can't expect outlaws to actually follow rules, way. We're obviously breaking rules for some reason, So to me, that logic was never really, you know what I mean? It never really made sense.